Alrighty, it's volume 2. We're going to be checking out some more abandoned / defunct / no longer there amusement parks. We're going to be checking out Google Earth, RCDB, and all that type of fun stuff. We're going to start off in England. I got a few from the United Kingdom. We're going to start off with Camelot Theme Park. Opened in 1983 and was demolished in 2012. Now, it had a couple of rare models in it, most noticeably the Nightmare here, which originally started its life in Japan, Kobe, Japan, where it operated as BMRX. And originally the coaster had this awesome like rock mountain facade around it and like a Bavarian mountain theming. But all that burned down. They had to retheme it, just call it BMRX, and then eventually moved it in 2006 to Camelot Theme Park. So it operated from 2007 to 2012. This is probably the biggest and most unique coaster in the park. Had these weird trains with these giant like side protectors. And I think it's because, yeah, the car went really close to the ground. But I don't know why they had those giant side protectors. It was kind of weird. Oh man, I got a lot of this wrong, I realized. So the park was not demolished in 2012. This coaster here stood but didn't operate from 2013 to 2020. It recently got demolished. Nightmare. That's kind of the big peculiarness of Camelot Theme Park is Nightmare stood for quite a long time, and it was a popular like drone spot. A lot of people did drone footage around it just because, you know, abandoned roller coaster. Yeah, let's fly a drone around it. It sounds cool. Camelot had some heavy theming to it, of course, medieval and all that. Had a rare evolution model. Wow. Had some water slides. They had a thrill ride called the Rack. All right, Gauntlet here. One of those crampy Pinfari looping roller coasters. And it looks like it's still operating in Bulgaria. They put a nice little light package to it, too. So a few of these rides from Camelot do still live on at other parks. I do want to talk a little bit about where a couple of the ride parts went, including this one. We'll be talking about Southport Pleasureland in just a second. So here we are in England, and you can see Camelot Theme Park, it was, you know, kind of in a... It was near Liverpool, but a tough place for tourism. So never really took off. That being said, it was a large place. You know, it had a lot of land to work with. Let's take a look back in time. So this is 2005. And by 2005, Nightmare hadn't arrived yet. Whirlwind. So Whirlwind was built in 2003. Let's see where. I think this is where Whirlwind was. It was like a spinning wild mouse coaster by Mauer. And that I believe still runs to this day at Skyline Park in Germany. So another ride that was saved from Camelot was Whirlwind. So I think this right here was Gauntlet. This was that Pinfari looping coaster. But when we go to 2009, we'll now see that they replaced the Gauntlet with Nightmare here. And then Gauntlet got moved first to Playground Varna and then to Luna Park Sunny Beach. And then Nightmare got moved here. Nightmare just kind of stayed there. And you see Nightmare, it's got a weird design where it goes up and then goes down all the way out over here. And then does the rest of its track in here. So when it was built in Japan, all this was enclosed with like a mountain, a fake mountain. and then it would come out and come out. So they had like a very peculiar layout that I was surprised that they were able to just kind of fit in there. And the park kept running. 2015, it was closed by now, so here it's abandoned. But Nightmare stayed. Nightmare was the one that pretty much stayed all the way until 2020. Look at that. In 2019. And by 2020, it's gone. They finally took it down. I'm assuming they took it down just because of urban explorers, people sneaking in and taking photos, climbing the thing, just overall safety issues. And this is what Camelot theme park looks like now. It was just kind of a big old dirt paradise. And one of the interesting things here is if you take the little street view guy, you'll see there's actually some photospheres right where Camelot used to be. If you take a look, we've got captures from Daniel Scarth, who took his drone and got some really good shots of the abandoned Nightmare, standing but not operating. And yeah, you can really see pretty much this entire coaster, exactly how it worked. And you see, during its abandoned life, they basically just put this makeshift fence all around it to keep people out, but looks pretty easy to climb to me. And I think there were security cameras around. They really tried protecting this area of the park, and I think it just became a hassle to do so. And up here, Mark Stride has a capture from, it looks like 2020, right after the coaster was demolished. Not sure what they're using the land for nowadays, but I need to see. It's a lot of the concrete pathways, everything. The little castle-themed building still there. Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do with this land now. So here in the Dragonflyer, there's a note that says that the train for Dragonflyer was moved to Southport Pleasureland. And I just wanted to kind of go down just a little tangent here with Southport Pleasureland. Southport Pleasureland, it took a lot of just, ride parts and stuff like that, used it as scenery. And the peculiar thing about this park is it used to be a lot bigger. You see how many defunct coasters it has. The park is kind of a shell of what it used to be. No, I don't mean that in a total diss sort of way, but they used to have, basically what I'm getting as, they used to have King Solomon's Mines. I want to talk about King Solomon's Mines. You might be looking at this coaster, and you might be a roller coaster tycoon fan. And you might be thinking, oh, that's the wooden Wild Mouse model. Those are the same exact mine train things and everything. Yes, this is the coaster that inspired Chris Sawyer for the wooden Wild Mouse model that's in the very first Roller Coaster Tycoon game. And this is kind of like the only, it wasn't the only one, but it was like the last wooden mine ride standing. And it lasted from 2000 to 2006 at Southport Pleasureland, but originally started its life at Frontierland Family Theme Park, which we're going to take a look at it a bit. And that was a park that lasted from 1960 to 1999. I believe the park actually lasted a lot longer than the ride did. Yeah, the park was opened in the 1900s. Park was opened in the 1900s, and everything was demolished in 1999. So, what do I want to do? I want to first take a look at Southport Pleasureland. I want to show you kind of the changes it's gone through. And then I want to take you to Frontierland and show you the lifespan of King Solomon's Mines. Just because it's one of those coasters I've always been slightly obsessed with. So, let's take a look. And here we are at Southport Pleasureland. Hey, see, not a bad park. It's right next to... That's a beach? Oh, England. England, I'm sorry. That's what your beaches look like? Oh. So, not a terrible park, but as you see, it seems like there's a lot of unused land here. Let's take a look back in the past. Let's take a look at 2012, not much. 2011, not much. 2010, oh, it looks like there was a dirt bike track here for a little bit. And then before here is a good capture. This is a good capture that kind of really shows you what Southport used to be. They used to have a Vekoma SLC over here. They used to have a wooden roller coaster. And there's King Solomon's Mines. Right there from 2000 to 2006. One of the rare captures you can get of it here at Southport. They also had a log flume ride, another coaster here. There was some good stuff here. Capture from 2000. Had some go-kart tracks over there. And then today, it just seems like they took out a lot. It seems like they took out a whole lot. All right, let's make our way over to Frontierland, or at least the remnants of Frontierland. And this is in Morecambe, England. And there's not much left. You may see this little area. This was like the station of the log flume that they had. And that's kind of like the last thing that's left of Frontierland. And as we go back in time, land looks very barren. And it kind of stayed that way for quite some time. And this is some prime real estate right next to the ocean. It's a big chunk. It's a big chunk that just kind of stayed desolate for quite some time. If we go all the way back to 2001, 2001, this is right after the park was closed down. So this is a freshly abandoned park right here. You can see a lot of just the footprints of where everything used to be. And we've got this wonderful capture from 2000. It may not look like much, but this is a capture from 2000, and it shows the park in its entirety as it was still up. Right here, they had a little mini wooden coaster. Had a very unique layout that was unfortunately taken down. King Solomon's Mines, I believe, was right here. I could be wrong about that. I'm not sure where King Solomon's Mines ended up. I think they were right here. I think King Solomon's Mines were right here. And that's pretty much the best capture you're going to get of Frontierland. Now, you may notice this tower right here. Yeah, so one of the last rides they built at Frontierland was, I don't know if it was a drop tower ride or an observation tower. I believe it was an observation tower. Right next to the beach. Great views. And they put a radio antenna on top of this tower for like a real-life radio station and signed a contract with that radio station saying, yo, this needs to be up there for 20 years. 20 years according to this contract. And a lot of people saw that as a sign as, oh, Frontierland is going to be around for a while, right? Because, you know, there was rumors that the park was going to close down around the 90s. But in 93, they built this thing with a 20-year contract saying, hey, this radio station, it's going to be using this tower as an antenna. Isn't that kind of cool? Well, it didn't save the park. And the Sky Tower with that antenna stayed there for quite some time. Still there in 2010. Still there in 2011. Still Still there in 2014 after the 20-year contract. Still there. It was just too expensive to take down at that point. And then they finally took it down in 2017. So for quite some time, there was a big old sky tower there that was also a radio antenna. Only reason it's still standing there, because it's also a radio antenna. We signed a contract. You can't take it down. But the log flume kind of stayed around for quite some time, and that's really the biggest proof you have of the park is just kind of the indents left by the log flume. But kind of a sad end to Frontierland. They used this area for like a lot of graffiti art. I believe Banksy has done some art around here too. That's it. That's it for Frontierland. All right, let's keep it in England, right? I don't want to leave this island yet. Why? Why should we? Let's go to American Adventure Theme Park. This was a park that opened in 1985 and closed in 2006. And it was a theme park. It was decidedly a theme park. Themed after America. Let's go! I gotta say, very, very honored. Crazy, crazy Ferris wheel here. I kind of love it. Yeah, it was a good-looking park. And the first major coaster in the park was a Vekoma Boomerang. You can see these all over. These are one of the most popular ride types in the world. But when this opened in 1989, this was like the first time one of these coasters came to England. And when it first opened, this was considered like the greatest coaster in England. A Vekoma Boomerang. And don't get me wrong, there's countries that probably a Boomerang would be the best coaster, but still pretty basic. Still pretty basic. It was called the Missile, and it lasted from 89 to 2004. And Missile is still running to this day as Wipeout at Pleasurewood Hills. Pretty close by. So Missile still to this day running. One of my favorite rides at this park, Twin Looper, which also still runs to this day as Devil's Loop in Poland. So, fortunately, this coaster's still running. It's a Soket twin looping coaster. I've heard it's pretty rough. It doesn't do much. It does 2 loops, a big ol' helix, big ol' awkward helix, and goes back to the track. And the most crazy thing about this coaster is the final car on this. This is the back of the train. They have a car where you face each other. Full on face-off mode. That looks pretty sick. Look at these restraints. Do these come with seat? I mean, I'm assuming like the force and everything keeps you in the seat, but those restraints don't look like they're doing much. It was originally painted yellow, it looks like. Or at least the loops were painted yellow. It started its life at Lightwater Valley, and it lived at Lightwater Valley from 1988 to 1994. Moved to American Adventure in 94 or 95. Lived there until 2006, and then moved to Poland in 2007. And if you're wondering, yes, they did keep that back car facing each other. I think that's sick. An interlink runaway train. It now travels at like carnivals and such. It looks like a mock powered coaster, but apparently it's interlink. They had a buffalo ride that looks like still operates at Twin Lakes Park, also in the UK. This, I think, was actually a pretty long custom Zamperla powered ride. Yeah, That thing was long. Almost 2.5 minutes long. Wow. That was 1987. So that opened before Missile, actually. That was probably their first big ride. They have a gigantic log flume. This has to be one of the biggest log flume drops I've seen. Oh my god. All right, let's take a look. So this park was centered around Shipley Lake, which is the most British name I've ever heard for a lake. And took up a lot of land. Oh, a huge amount of land. I'm not sure what they're doing with it now. It looks like a quarry of some sort. Back in 2017, one of the last captures, you can see a lot of the footers, the footprints, the remnants of the park. Looks like they had a nice, like, I don't know, is that a path or a train? I don't know. Oh, a big park, though. Had a nice layout. The capture for 2013, everything looks a little overgrown at this point. Here's a capture from 2010. This is like freshly abandoned. Looks like the rides are all gone at this point. They sold off the rides really quickly when they closed this park, which honestly, props to them. Better to get these rides back up and running somewhere else than just leaving them to rot, I guess. 2007, it looks like the park is freshly closed at this point. It doesn't look like there's much left. The raft ride right there. Huh. Here's another capture from 2007, and it looks like the rides are still there. Here's a log flume. That big log flume. That was a huge drop. And a nice little island here. I like that. Looks like there was a sky ride of some sort. Roller coaster here. That looks like the Twin Looper right there. There's the Twin Looper. I think that was the Buffalo ride. There was the Missile right there. So yeah, I think this is the last capture of it in operation, April 2007. But yeah, I guess the park just didn't do well enough to justify operation right in the middle of England. Smack dab, not anywhere close to the ocean. So that might have hurt it quite a bit. I think you had to really be a local Englander to enjoy this park, because it's themed after America. What American's gonna come to England? Let's go to the theme park that's themed after us. That sounds fun. But rest in peace, America. American Adventure. Sorry, not America. Not yet. All right, we've got one more. This is Fun Spot Park in Angola, Indiana. And it's been standing but not operating technically since 2009, but there's nothing there anymore. It operated from 1959 to 2008. Its most significant roller coaster was the Afterburner, operated from 91 to 2008, but stood and didn't operate from 2009 to 2017. Originally started off at Boardwalk and Baseball in Florida, and their like beloved defunct amusement park from back in the day. So it moved from Florida to Indiana, and there it was. It basically just shot. You had to walk up all these stairs. It shot you. You went down through the loop, went up. You'd stop up here. You'd shoot back down, go, and back. This was an early shuttle loop model from Aerodynamics. They built quite a few of these. I love this sign. The Afterburner, the all-American roller coaster. But as you can see, the biggest downside about these coasters is that freaking staircase. The staircase is brutal. But you see, they let this thing just kind of sit in the field, and they ran it as long as they possibly could. As long as they could. Look how rusted it got. The sign's barely holding up. They got a nice little shed I think that held like the winch system that made the car go. Yeah. Another peculiar thing about this model, it was the only model that when they built it in Boardwalk in baseball in Florida, it came with an elevator. It came with an elevator that Fun Spot never set up. So apparently there was a whole elevator like shaft mechanism and everything sitting in a field across the street from Afterburner, like during its entire lifetime. I've checked Google Maps. We'll check again. I have not found that elevator, but I wanted to throw that out real quick. After it got taken down, the station just kind of sat there for quite a bit. Wow, that is a violent picture. I don't like that at all. And got taken down. I think it just kind of stood up for that long, just because it costs money to take these things down. You're like, it might be an eyesore, but yeah. The train, launch sleds, control brakes, roof, and sections of staircase were sent to Frontier City in Oklahoma to be used on Diamondback, which is the same model of coaster. So parts of this coaster still being used in Oklahoma. All right, finally leaving England. Now we're in America. And here we are. This is a 2007 capture. Let's go to 2020. Here's what it looks like now. You can see some, concrete pads of, oh yeah, see right here. There's some sort of ride that used to be there. 2017, you can kind of see just like some leftover bits of Afterburner right here. We go back one more in 2015, and we can see Afterburner still sitting there. Standing but not operating, station right here. And according to rumor, there was an elevator that sat right here. Again, I've never found it. I've never found the elevator, but 2015, park looking pretty desolate. 2011, we got the ride still there. So this right here was a Zyklon, their Pinfari Zyklon. Wasn't a Lupin model, and it still runs, actually. That one still runs at Dundee, Illinois at Santa's Village Amusement Park, and they're one of those amusement parks that constantly grows and shrinks and grows and shrinks. I used to grow up near Santa's Amusement. I remember that park pretty fondly. So the capture in 2011, pretty much everything standing but not operating. I think the whole park closed in 2009, so this is about 2 years defunct right here. It looks like they had some water slides as well, but a lot of the park's still standing 2 years after its closure. 2008, here's a capture of it when it was still in operation. 2007, not a great capture. 2006, not great either. 2005, nope. Oh, there we go. 2005 with an actual good. So there's Afterburner looking clean. Looks like there was a little kiddie coaster there. Some parts of a water slide ready to get built. Still no signs of whatever Afterburner's elevator. Capture from 2003. Looks pretty blurry. And then 98, we got black and white capture. And I know I'm obsessed with the elevator, but I don't see the elevator. Supposedly it was sitting right here. I don't see any signs of an elevator. So that's what's left. Rest in peace. Fun Spot, Indiana. And that's going to do it for Volume 2 of Defunct Amusement Parks on Google Earth. Hope to see you for the next one. If you like these series, leave the like, leave the comment, leave the sub, whatever you want to do. We stream nearly every night, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Twitch. Check out the link. Would love to see you all there, and hopefully we'll release another one of these next week. Got lots of plans, lots of fun stuff, so Hope to see you there. Have a good one. Later.
Might be right.